Hi everybody, my name is Magnus Engervall. I've studied economics at the Stockholm School of Economics, and I've studied psychology at Stockholm University. And my talk will be a little bit different than the other ones. I will back a little bit more, back in history. I would start off by saying the topic that is ownership, an inefficient notion, dividing communities, members in between each other. Now, how many here would say that you know your neighbor really well? Raise your hand. Hand up. You know your neighbor really well. We have one. All right. I don't know if my second question really matters then. Do you share anything you own with your neighbor on a regular basis? Anyone? We have a few. 2, 3, 4. All right. A few people. Now this will be the topic of my talk, about ownership and its inefficiencies, because it's a pretty new thing, this private ownership, that I'd own something, I claim ownership to something. The first societies that were around for thousands of years were the hunter-gatherer societies. There were no concept of owning, not private or collective. No one owned anything. You shared the resources you had with people around you, and as well people who came from abroad. Foreign people to you, you shared what you had with them when they were in need. It was connected societies, closer to one another, without ownership, sharing resources. Then what happened when the agricultural revolution came around? We started to get a great surplus. We can produce more things. How should we divide these? And you started to have like collectives that said, for example, you had a collective that owned. In this village, we own. It was a collective ownership that came about, but it wasn't still private ownership. And these were for thousands of years like this. And then where we ultimately came was that private ownership became simply the only and unquestioned distribution. That's how we own things. And that for a few hundred years back, we came, John Locke and Adam Smith institutionalized this in economic theory, monetary economic theory, that ownership was a given. And that's the assumption from now on, and everything that we've been living through is this given notion of private ownership, that I claim ownership to something on earth, and that's mine, and no one else should be able to access it. And what's happened then is that communities have slowly become weaker and weaker. As I started off, we don't know our neighbors. We maybe don't shop where we live. We don't work where we live. We don't know the people in our environments. And that creates a great unsafety. We don't feel safe where we live and in these communities. And what we hold on to instead is the concept of what we own. The things in my apartment, the clothes I wear, my car, whatever we have, that's what we hold on to. That's what's important to us. And the problem with that, I would like to quote Fight Club, the novel from 1996, the things you own end up owning you. And where I would like to come with all of this is that the importance of connection in local communities, extended families, is extremely important, and it has lately scientifically been shown to be extremely important. I've been looking into biological neurology or psychology. It's extremely interesting subject where you look at the upbringing of children. It was actually a research from Notre Dame in France that showed that the best upbringing environments for small children were the hunter and gatherer societies, the tribe, the clan, the extended family, with nurturing people in your surrounding, raising children. It's an African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. But it's a small side note. So what I do, I'm a co-founder of FlexiDrive, which enable people in communities to rent cars from one another. That's what I do. And it's maybe a small step in the right direction. It's still in the same context as we live, and most of the car owners that rent out their car most likely do it to a great extent for profit of the resources that they have, but still, it might be a small step in the right direction, away from the obsession of possession and towards the connection of communities. Thank you.